Good morning. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. I
Hello?
think we got some. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. Working out these technical issues this
Okay, Marvin Worthy is saying that he didn't have the link, so I forwarded him what was sent to me, but I'm not sure. Should I just send him? I'm pretty sure Andrea sent that to him.
He has the link and he accepted it.
He has the link. I'm realizing that there's an echo,
Send a reminder.
and I'll send a
So-
reminder.
Yeah, you can send a reminder. So go to the
One second. Let me fix this echo. Okay.
So did you get an opportunity to lock the room?
The room is locked.
Okay. Look at that setting where you lock the room. See if it says invite and remind. I
Yep.
don't think it's there. It might be a setting next to that.
Yeah, all right, Miss Pam. I think we're good now.
Okay.
Okay.
So the room is locked right now?
The room is locked right now, and I just let in Mr. Worthy. And I'll be looking out for anyone else that may need to enter.
Okay. I guess Dr. Hawkins. Good
Mhm.
morning. Mr. Worthy, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Good morning.
Okay, a little tricky this morning. What that was. I think I'm good. So you can see and hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay. What is this on? Okay.
Okay.
So I understand that we may have breakout rooms for this session.
Good morning.
Yes.
Good.
Okay. I believe it's already set for 7 rooms. Let me know if you think you
Yeah.
need more or
Okay.
less.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Yourself?
I'm well, thank you.
But my name is Donna,
Hi,
and I'll
Donna.
be the one working with you guys today.
Okay. Have we met, Donna?
Yes, sir. Again, our Believable WebEx, I did one of your sessions before.
Okay. So will you be doing the breakout sessions for me?
Yes, sir. I can handle that for you if you like.
Says WebEx admin host. Okay, what do I do with that? Am I supposed to do something with that?
What was your question? I'm sorry.
There's I can barely hear you. Is it me? Let me
Okay.
see if I need to turn my volume up.
And
Sounds pretty
I was
good.
just moving around, so that could be it as well. But I was saying that I didn't get your question.
Oh, something popped up. It says WebEx admin host. Am I supposed to do something?
No, that's just letting you know that I was the one speaking at the moment.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, it's the screen, not your photo. Okay. Do you have an idea that people register in advance, or did you register like you normally do? And we won't know the numbers until they arrive this morning.
That information I do not have. Andrea didn't mention it. So, but I do believe that we'll find out as they log in.
Okay.
I don't think there was a registration set for this. No, it's not. It just say click here to log in.
Okay. I'm gonna need probably, depending on, gonna need 15 breakout rooms.
15.
So for example, if you got 150 people, it will be 15 breakout sessions, which would be
About 10
15.
people per room.
Correct.
Okay.
Like to keep it at that number, not much higher than that. If the numbers are lower than that, then we can make less. We can, we'll still keep it at 15 though. Because if the groups are smaller than 10, that's not an issue. That's even better. But we'll manage 10.
Okay.
Pamela, can you hear me? I can't hear you.
She can. I have to unmute her. There she
Okay.
is.
Yeah, so is there a way to prevent that from happening where I keep going on mute?
Well, I put it on mute because he was asking me a question. Mr. Worthy was asking me a question and you were on a call. So I just muted it for that.
Oh, okay, because I'm trying to talk and yes. So yes, Mr. Worthy, if you recall, since you wanted the breakout rooms, we weren't able to do the registration. I think the setup is different. So it's like a meeting instead of a registration for an event.
Say that again. You said
So
we can or can't?
we weren't able to set up a registration link because we had,
Oh, registration.
yeah, so we were just doing it as a meeting so you can have the breakout rooms.
Okay, got you.
Yeah,
Good,
yes.
good. Well, today we're going to be doing trading places.
Trading places?
Trading places.
Oh, okay. All
It's
right.
an experiential exercise. So we'll break people up into individual groups. I will give them a brand new identity. They are to respond to a specific question as if they were a member of that particular demographic.
Oh, okay.
And that they will be asked to use I statements in their response to the question. Someone will record the responses from all the members in their organization, in their group. And this is not a consensus exercise. It's everyone in the room, whether they identify in real life as a member of that demographic or not,
Mm-hmm.
they use I statements. It is not to debate whether or not that's the real experience or not. It's simply for them to trade places and to become a member of that demographic and to respond to the question.
Okay.
They would then report back in a larger group. I would go through each groups and ask them to give me at least 5 responses to the question. I will then role model. Well, I'm not gonna spoil that.
Yeah, you don't want to give away too much.
I was about to give you all the cookies.
Oh my goodness. Well, let me go run and give this schedule to Irene, and I'll be right back in 1 minute.
Sure.
I'm gonna see if I can get that out of you though when I get back.
Go get some water.
So Irene was having problems logging on. When she clicks the link, it says that if you're the meeting host. So I told her to put her email address in. She wasn't able to join just by clicking the link. Donna, is Donna there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm actually working on it. I just seen
Okay.
her come in, and then she disappeared. So I'm gonna wait and see if she come back in again to try again, and then I'll let her in.
She said you were in and then you disappeared.
Did it kick her out?
It's gonna make you, she's gonna. Okay. She's
Okay,
coming
that's
back in again.
okay. Do Justin Blank need to be in here with you guys right now?
Justin Blank, no,
Okay.
it's probably logged in early.
Oh, where? There she is.
Mr. Worthy, did you need to, oh yeah, your name is up here now. Uh-huh. Mr. Worthy, are you able to, did you need to practice your PowerPoint or anything, or? Oh,
I'm sorry. I sent a request to unmute. Request is sent to unmute. Can you accept it, Mr. Worthy?
I did.
Okay.
We hear you now.
So this is the share button, right? I have sharing capabilities, Donna.
If you see it and it's highlighted, yes, sir.
What do you want to share? Optimize for text and images. Screen. Uh, so, people are viewing your screen. Okay, this looks a little funny.
Okay, maybe when you click the share, it gives you options as to which screen you want to select.
Yeah, let me start it over. Yeah, I
Okay.
do remember that. I'm gonna stop sharing. Yeah, it gives me two options. Do you want to share? It says optimize for text and images, or below it says screen or application. I
So
want
you're
screen.
looking to share your screen.
Okay, that comes up and it says entire screen. I click. I guess I have to highlight that. This entire screen.
Is the
Share.
document you're looking to share? Let's see
Yeah,
what
it's a
you.
PowerPoint. It's going to be a PowerPoint that I
Okay.
want
Is
to
your
share.
PowerPoint open? At the bottom, you see your PowerPoint.
I don't. Let me see
There,
if I need to
select that.
open it.
Okay. There you go.
I have it open now.
We see that now.
Yeah.
You see my screen?
We see the
Yes.
PowerPoint now. As an African female at DSU, I feel.
Oh, good, good. So you see it?
Yes,
Yep.
sir.
Reading places and experiential exercise.
Okay, good, perfect. So if I stop share, when I come back and share, this will automatically pop up for me, Donna?
Um, that
Do I
depends if you have it open and ready. It should. If not, you would just have to maneuver through it the way you just did.
So how do I get back to all of you? I don't want
You
the
click
screen up when
on
they come
share,
on.
stop share.
Okay, so I stop share. Good morning, Dr. Hawkins.
Good
Can
morning.
you hear me? How are you?
I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're low, but I can hear you.
I could do with this.
Turn my volume up. Can you hear? There you are. Can you hear me okay?
I could hear you fine.
Oh, good, good.
Yeah, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Good morning, Dr. Hawkins.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Love that yellow.
Thank you. It is a little bright, isn't it?
Yeah, but I like bright colors, so.
A little bright, a little bright. How you doing?
Good. Yourself?
You look good. You look good. Okay.
Let's
So
get it popping, rocking.
it's time. It's time to um
Okay, so then after that exercise, then we're going to,
Yeah, I'll introduce the segment. So Donna, this is where while I'm talking, you're going to need to be putting the groups together. I'll give it a few minutes to see what kind of numbers we have. But I think the only reason it wouldn't be 15 groups if the numbers are really low, and that has not been the case. It's been consistently over 100 people. I think I'm correct, Pamela, Dr.
Yeah.
Hawkins.
Mhm.
And so we'll keep the 15 groups. Just so you all know, as I began before Dr. Hawkins got on, I will be doing an exercise titled Trading Places. In fact, I recall that Delaware State University participated in our Trading Places program when I was at the University of Delaware. The Trading Places program is a real program. It started after a conversation with my staff that was predominantly white, who said they thought that what I was doing for underrepresented population was unfair because we created a special orientation to help them adjust to an environment where they were obviously underrepresented. I then told them why it was necessary to do so. They still thought it was unfair. So one of my graduate students from Howard University came up with the idea, why don't we just take them to Howard and have them become a student for the day? And we did that. We took all of our white staff, student staff at the time, and some professional white staff to Howard University to spend an entire day as if they were enrolling for the first day. When they got off the bus, they said, where do we go now? I said, here's your class schedules. I said, how do we get there? I said, you told me you just figure it out. And that students at the University of Delaware needed to figure it out. And so it's your chance now to figure it out. And so they went to classes, they went to lunch, they went to events, they had a panel discussion. We did all we could there. And we videotaped a lot of the experiences. I tape recorded all of the students prior to leaving for Howard University and asked them how they were feeling. They said, we're feeling fine. We don't see what the big deal is. You get there and you figure it out. It's no big deal. And so we did it. And so obviously I can't take you all to a university like we did that, but I've created a way to do Trading Places as a regular experiential exercise and training. And so that's what we'll do today. Okay.
I kind of like that. Or some other groups that we know. I like that.
So we have 8 participants waiting now. And we're 2 minutes out. Did you guys want me to let them in right at 9, or do we want to give a few more minutes for more people to join?
Let's
At 9, it's fine. That's usually,
Oh,
once you
okay.
click them on at 9, they'll start coming on pretty rapidly. At least that's been the experience in the last couple of sessions.
Okay.
Do we have the May date yet? We wanted to announce that at the end. You have it handy. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. I just don't know. I can't get to my calendar.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know, and Mr. Worthy, you just keep me straight on this. I don't know whether you and I have discussed the May date yet. And I can't get to my calendar to see, so.
Oh, I can get to mine. I will see.
Mr. Worthy, I have a question. Did you mute yourself, or did it automatically put you back on mute?
I muted myself.
Okay.
I was talking
Oh.
to someone. I didn't want to be a distraction.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure we
Actually-
wasn't doing anything funky. Okay.
Yeah, I appreciate you looking out.
sir?
Actually, it's April. I don't know why I'm in May already, but
Okay, it's 9 o'clock. You guys are ready for me to unlock the room?
Yes.
I think we
Okay.
could go ahead
All right.
and get started. Stay on time.
April 13th, I have, oh, yep, I have April. Oh, let me see.
I've got to get to my calendar.
Yeah, I have April 13th.
I'll double check while y'all are on. I can reduce my screen and then go to my calendar
Yeah,
and
that's
I'll
what I have.
check that.
Can you all still hear me pretty good?
Yes.
Good.
Starting to come in now, from what I could see. Is that I think we have about 27 folks. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so Mr. Worthy, you ready to get started?
Yes.
Atkins, are you taking us out of a session and letting us get started or what?
You guys can get started.
Good morning, Delaware State University. How are you? Thank you for joining us. We're glad that you did. Hope all is well. Today is our fourth session with our facilitator and coach, Mr. Marvin Worthy. And our fourth session, which he will explain, I will not even try, will focus on the roles and responsibilities as an organizational leader, as organizational leaders, excuse me. And we all are leaders here. And so in whatever way that may be. And so this is a good program that will give us the tools that we need to take a deep dive into how we are engaging ourselves as leaders now and what our roles should be and how we need to engage our teams. And so Mr. Worthy will get us going with that. As always, it's a joy. As always, it's just very engaging to listen to him. And as you know, that we have our sessions that we break out into. So I'm not going to try to tell you everything that's going to happen. I'm going to let Mr. Worthy do that for you. So without further ado, I turn it over to our coach and facilitator, Mr. Marvin Worthy.
Thank you, Dr. Hawkins. It's a pleasure to be here with you all this morning. I hope all is well with you and your families, that everyone is safe. Today is going to be a little different, but obviously the theme remains the same. You know, how do we become equipped with the skills and the competency to respond to issues that impact our communities? And understanding the value of being as keenly aware of looking at everything that we do through a diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging lens. And so today, we're going to be doing an experiential exercise. I want you to trust that there's matter to my madness this morning and trust the process. I also want to make sure or reinforce, if you will, the importance of being an active participant in your own learning. For me, that means if you have a camera, please put it on. I want to be able to see the people that I am engaging. And when you have an opportunity to share your voice, because all of your voices matter significantly. I just want to do a couple checkpoints. Can everyone hear me okay? Is the volume good enough for us to hear? And let me ask Donna a question. Is there a way for you to put this screen on gallery where I can see everyone that's participating. Is that possible?
Do you see layout at the top of your screen?
Layout at the top of my screen.
It's a little box that says layout, and there's an option that says grid.
I do not see something that says layout.
Let me
Yes,
see.
I do. I found it.
You got it? Okay.
And what do I do with it?
You click grid.
Grid. There we go. Okay. And the grid I can only see 6 people at one time in the grid.
It should allow you to see more. I just did it as we were speaking, and I can see everyone as of right now. You may have to scroll to see other participants, but the grid should give you that option to see multiple screens.
Okay. But you can see everyone at once.
I can see many screens at one time, but I may have to scroll to the left or the right to see everyone else. But I do have a good, there are many on my screen right now once I select the grid.
Can you give me a head count?
Right now, we have 48 participants.
Fantastic. Okay. Okay, let me give you all some instructions. And again, if you have the ability to be on camera, that would be fantastic, particularly when we put you in smaller groups. We will start today off with you being in a smaller group with an exercise that we're going to do that I call trading places. And the trading places exercise is this. You will take on a brand new identity this morning. I will then ask questions of your respective groups based on your demographic. And I'm going to provide a question that I want you to respond to. There will be 15 groups. And so when you do the math, whoever the math people are, if we have 40 something people, 45, I think she said, individuals, and there's 15 groups, whatever that math is how many people would be in each group. What I will need for you to record as soon as you go into the groups is what group number you are in, if you will. Donna, what I need you to do, when I pull up my PowerPoint, I'm going to share with everyone all the different identities. And so group 1 will be the first, and we'll go all the way through the 15 different groups. And so when we come back to share, I will ask individual groups to share based on their number, the number of your group. That's why it's important to remember what your number is, okay? So Don, I want you to start putting those groups together while I introduce this exercise to everyone, okay?
Okay.
If you will. And you let me know when that's ready to go, and then we'll start. And so I'm going to share my screen. Let me know. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
What does it say?
Trading places and experiential. Oh goodness.
Mhm.
Experiential
That's it.
exercise.
That's it. It happens to me all the time. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. It's a experiential exercise. As I mentioned, trusted is matter to my madness. You are going to be assigned new identities today. Now, some of you, because of the numbers of people, or depending on what collection of people are present here today, that identity may in fact be how you identify yourself. That's okay. For many of you, it may be a demographic in which you do not personally identify as in your real life, okay? Because this is an exercise. But nonetheless, I need you to take on that identity. And when you respond to the question, I want you to respond with I statements. This is not a consensus exercise. The members in your group who are all identify as that particular population or demographic gets to share their individual response to the question. I need for you to identify a recorder who will share the responses of all the members in your group. So when you come back, you'll then share that group with the entire group, the list that you generated. Okay, so let's take a look at the identities. Group number one, as an African American female at Delaware State University, I feel, and then you fill in the blank with words, phrases, comments, whatever it is for you. Okay, and that's why this point's important. You don't have to justify, debate, come to a consensus. I just simply want you to roll off your tongue that as an African American female at Delaware State University, I feel, and then share what you feel. Now, if some of you are saying, well, I'm not African American, well, you are today. Okay? So group number one, you will be African American females. Group number two, African American males. Group number three, as a Latina at DSU, I feel. As a Latino male at DSU, I feel. As an LGBTQ plus person, I feel. As an African, right? And there's obviously there's a distinction, right? The first was African American, the next is African. Male, as a white female, as a white male, as an Asian American female, Asian American male, a person with disabilities, as a Jewish person, as an individual with a mental health condition, a person with learning differences. So when we go down on the left here, you'll see the numbers. Well, they're not in order because it counts the first slide. But group number one, okay, you may want to jot it down if you want to remember it, right? As group number one is African American. So if you're group number one, that means you're African American. Donna, you following me?
Yes.
How are you making out with the groups, the 15 groups? You still working on it?
Still working on
Okay.
it.
Group number two, African American male. Group number three. I don't want to confuse you. I know it says 4 on my screen, but again, I'm considering the fact that the number one slide is not one of the identities. So 3 is Latina female, 4 Latino male, 5 LGBTQ plus persons. Group number 6 as an African female. Number 7, African male. Group number 8, white female. Group number 9, white male. Group 10, an Asian American female. 11, Asian American male. 12, a person with disabilities or disability. A Jewish person. Number 14, as an individual with a mental health condition. A person with learning differences. Okay, so you will be assigned one of these groups. You will take on the identity that's listed in that group. You will respond. The easiest way to do it is have everyone go around, right? We're going to give you, this is not going to be long, okay? I'll give you 10 minutes to do that. So you can go as long as you want for 10 minutes. But because of time, I'm only going to ask you to give us 5 on your 10, on your list of whatever, 5 or 10 or 15. Okay? Any questions about the assignment? questions. Good. And again, it's going to be important that you be an active participant, that you follow the instructions and trust that there's matter to my madness. Okay. Are there any questions? Were you able to jot down, remember what your number is, what number is associated with what population or demographic? If we're good, I will stop sharing. Come back to all of you. So if you can let me know, Pamela, are you able to monitor the chat?
Yes, I'm able to monitor the chat now.
Okay. If you understand the instructions, put yes in the chat. If you do not, put no.
Yes, we're getting several yeses, and we don't have any questions as of yet.
Excellent. Is there anyone that's brand new to the training series that we're doing? Are there any brand new people today that hasn't participated in any sessions thus far? Just put in the chat, I'm new, or this is my first time.
We have a couple of hands raised.
Okay. You need not have been in the other sessions to participate in today's session. I will tell you that we're at this space because we've done a little diving into really understanding what it means to build an inclusive workplace community and what is required of us individually and collectively as an organization. We also spent some time trying to define what an ideal community would look like, feel like, and sound like. And so we spent some time doing that. And the reason we did that was because it makes sense to start building that community once you understand what the end results should look like, feel like, and sound like. Otherwise, you're moving in a direction with no blueprint and no vision. So we have to create a vision. And once we create the vision, we then identify what our individual and collective responsibilities will be in order to create such a community. And we also talked about strategies and ways that we could begin to implement programs and activities and functions and policies that would speak to an ideal community. We focused on things like, what does a caring community look like? What does an open and just community look like? So those are the things we've gone over so far. So today is an exercise day that will be of great significance, I believe. Okay. So Donna, you let me know. I can do a comedy segment if you need me to until you get that ready. I can sing out loud. You tell me what I need to do until you're ready to go.
We're all set. I'm just waiting on you to say go.
Go. Pay attention to the group that you're in, okay? And you will be asked to hit join now. Make sure you do that. Donna,
Yes, sir.
can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Will I be able to travel the different groups and see stop in?
Yes, you should be able to join the group
So
because you're
okay.
as a host.
So once I join, I still have the opportunity to go out of one group and go into another.
You should be able to, yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Alexis, Beverly, Ann, is that correct? What group am I in?
You're back on main screen, main session.
Okay, so who are the people on the main screen?
They're all our participants, those that did not join a session.
Can I make it a session with them now?
Yes, sir.
And what group? Well, you've already put all the groups out, haven't you?
If you want to do that, this could be considered number 7, because based on participants, we did 6 rooms. So you could do number 7 if you want.
You were only able to do 6 rooms?
Right. When we started, you said based on how many participants do breakout sessions based on how many, and we are at 59.
Yeah, I said that it wouldn't matter if it was less than 10. I'm okay with that, but we need to keep all 15 groups.
Okay, then I missed that. So how do you want to proceed? I'm
So
sorry.
what 6 groups exist? So what 6 groups are participant? What's the identification? The first 6
So
groups?
the first 6 groups, that's correct.
Okay. And Donna did not allow me to travel to other groups. So I don't know how we can make that happen.
Okay, is there a particular room that you would like to go in now?
Oh, you can put me there, right?
Yes, I should be able to do that.
Yeah, I was in
Yes,
6, so you can put me in 5.
5. Okay.
Okay, we had a bit of a miscommunication, so I apologize for that. And so we have finished round one. It is now time for round two. The same idea, the same concept, but you're going to be assigned a different identity. And so, Donna, what I'd like for you to do, I know you've assigned the first 6 in the first round. If you can now assign the ones that are left, which would be, what's my math? It would be, how many left? 7 or 9? It would be 9, correct? It will be 9 we did not get to yet, correct?
That is correct.
Because there's total 15. We did 6 identities. We now need to do 9 identities. So I need you to break us up again in 9 groups. 9 groups.
Okay, give me one moment.
Yeah, and I think the numbers may have increased. It appeared that there were some people who didn't make it into the session because we had already started before they arrived.
We have a question from Ms. Segbe, but I think I can unmute Ms. Segbe.
Okay, so let me just communicate. How many of you joined later and missed the first exercise? Just raise your hand, and Pamela, let me know how many people. It doesn't matter how many. I just need to give instructions so they know what we're doing.
We have a couple of hands raised, so maybe we're
Okay.
there to repeat the groups that we're creating now.
You know, we are doing what is called an experiential exercise titled Trading Places. And in Trading Places, there's somebody waiting in the lobby. I guess I can let them in. I got power over here, I think. Or maybe Donna got it. You're going to be given new identities today. I'm going to ask you to stay in those identities until I give you your original identity back. You're going to be posed a question. And you want to answer that question based on your new identity. The new identity, let's say that your identity is a member of the LGBTQ plus community. You would then answer the question, as a member of the LGBTQ plus community, I feel, and the community I'm referring to is Delaware State University. That's the community that we're asking you to respond to, what it feels like. And so let me just show you quickly why Donna's doing that. Let me share my screen here so you can kind of see. Pamela, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Is it the right screen?
It says, as an African female at DSU, I feel. So you want to?
Yes. Okay. So we've already done 1 through 6. So the next ones we're going to do, the numbers are a little off. So where it says 8, that's really 7. And 9 is really 8. So you're going to receive an identity. That's why it's going to be important to remember your number. But I guess as Donna does it, it's going to start off again 1 through 9. And so group 1 will be, you may want to make note of this. Group 1 will be as an African-American female. I'm sorry, as an African female at DSU, I feel. Okay, be clear, you see that. It's not African-American, it's African. And then group number 2 will be as a white female at DSU, I feel. Group 3, as a white male. Group 4, as an Asian American female. 5, as an Asian American male. 6, as a person with disabilities. 7, as a Jewish person. 8, as an individual with a mental health condition. And number 9, as a person with learning differences. And so you become that demographic. And you will respond with I statements because that is now your new identity. This is not a consensus exercise. It's an opportunity for every person in your group to go around as many times as you can in the time that's been allotted and share their response. I feel, whatever that is, a word, a phrase, However, you need to articulate that. And then you identify a recorder who will record the responses. Then we'll bring you back to the larger group and we'll go through all 15 and hear the responses from the 15 different groups within the organization.
Mr.
For the people,
Worthy,
yes,
I'm sorry, this is Donna. I'm
yes.
finding that I can't rename the group, the breakout sessions since we started them. I just want to ask if you could reiterate the numbers of the room so everyone will be able to take note.
So for the 9 we need to do,
That is correct, right? So the breakout sessions are set, but I can't rename them so they can see exactly which room they are in.
but will they see what number room they're in?
That is correct, from 1 to 9.
Okay, 1 to 9. So in this case, this is group. Can you see my screen still or no?
We
I
can,
stopped sharing the. Yeah, can you see my screen still?
Yes.
yes.
It says as an African female.
Okay, someone in the chat is saying that they were already assigned to a group as an African female.
Okay, well let's go here. As an African male.
Okay, so to be clear, Donna, are you saying that there will be 6 breakout rooms?
9. There should be 9 breakout rooms because we just had 6, and there should have been 15. So there's 9 that we haven't assigned.
Right,
If I'm going based on my list.
right, and I thought Donna was saying that she couldn't create additional breakout rooms. So.
Oh, that okay. Is that what you said?
That's not what I'm saying. I am saying that I cannot rename them to match what your slides are. I can't rename them. So it'll still say breakout session 1, breakout session 2. I
Okay.
just wanted to reiterate that.
Okay. So breakout. So I know we did African male already. And so someone said they did African female already. I think I heard that correctly.
Yes.
So we start here. On my screen, it looks as number 9, when in fact it's number 1. So number 1 is white female. Number 2 is white male. Number 3 is Asian American female. Number 4 is Asian American male. Number 5 is a person with disabilities. Number 6, that's a Jewish person. Number 7, as an individual with a mental health condition. Number 8, person with learning differences. So there's 8. So something's off if there was only 6. But we'll do that. Can we do that, Donna?
We can do that.
Okay. I appreciate your patience. All of you. So when you're ready, any questions for anyone? So I see someone's hand up. Oh, that's
Janice Hilliard.
host. It says host.
Janice, you can unmute yourself. Or you can put the question in the chat.
And Donna, you let me know when you're prepared to go. So in the chat,
Thank you, Dr. Edwards, for putting that in the chat. So you might want to copy it and then take it with you in the room.
Breakout rooms are ready.
okay.
It's too late then.
So same process, just different identity. And let's give. I don't know that we need 10 minutes. People are getting through pretty quickly. Let's give them 5 minutes. Because again, we're not debating, we're not questioning, we're not trying to come to a consensus. Just share your first reaction and keep it going. Let's do it for 5 minutes. Okay. So you should be prompt to click on the group that you're in at any time. Okay, so this must be a group. Okay, people still leaving. Let's see. Hello, can you all hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay, so it's Barbara, Beverly. Who else is with us?
This is still the main session. This is not a breakout room. Do you see the breakout session highlighted at the bottom of your screen? You should be able to have the option to go in and out of rooms.
Okay. And why are the people here not in a session?
I'm not sure if they didn't select join.
Okay. Can you place them somewhere? Do you have that capability?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Are we all back, Donna?
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. All righty. So you remain in your identities. I'm going to go around, right? And so obviously you all have had two experiences and two identities. And so when I call group number one, it's probably going to be two group number ones. Number one from the first segment and number one from the second segment. So we'll do it in that order. So we'll go one and we'll do both ones, two, both twos, etc. And I want you to simply use I statements and share your list that was generated among your peers. And I want everyone to pay very close attention to what's being shared. Once you share, I will create an opportunity for people to ask questions for clarity, for understanding. I'll also afford you the opportunity to respond to this particular population based on what they've shared openly to the entire community. So we're all still enrolled. Okay, so let's start with group number one. Please tell us who you are in terms of your identity and then complete the question. Group number one, where are you? Should be a representative spokesperson for your group. Yes.
All right, thank you for unmuting me. I'm Christine McDermott, and our group was African American female. I feel omitted. I feel at home. I feel comfortable. I feel empowered. I feel concerned. I feel capable. I feel challenged. I feel unsafe. I feel marginalized. I feel determined. I feel limited. I feel undermined. I feel ignored. I feel judged. I feel respected. And that was it.
Here's now an opportunity. First, I want to thank you all for coming here this morning and sharing your truth with us. This is now an opportunity for members of the university who are present to ask questions for clarity, to share any thoughts or reactions to what they've learned about the members of this particular population that resides within our community walls. And so now is the opportunity. Any questions, comments, reactions? I have a question. Well, first, I want to say to you all, thank you for finding the courage to share your truth with us this morning. We invited you and you accepted the invitation to come and share out loud what your experience is like and what it feels like to be a member of your demographic within our institution. I want you to know that something hit me at my core. And it's when you said that you feel limited and marginalized. And I want to be honest with you. I'm not going to pretend to understand what life is like for you. But I do want to say to you that I'm sorry that you had to endure what you've endured since you've been here, and want to ask for permission and how I might be able to support you, encourage you, find ways to create an atmosphere that will begin to eliminate those kinds of feelings. But I only want to be able to be involved in that with your permission. And so I'm asking, do I have permission to come alongside you and find ways to create an atmosphere that will be absent of some of the things I just mentioned? So I'm asking the group now. And it doesn't have to just be the spokesperson who responds to me, but whoever's in that number one group. Reaction to my question? I can't hear anyone, so I don't know if you're muted.
everyone is muted. They'll have to raise their hand in order for me to get to them to unmute their
Okay.
mics.
So raise your hand if you have a
Hi.
response to,
Hi, can you hear me?
yes.
Yeah, I had a question about, I had a concern too, saying like, how you felt that you felt limited here as an African American woman. And, I don't know, me as an African American woman, I would feel I would feel limitless here and, very inspired because there's so many great African American women here that's doing well. I feel pressured, but just the whole limited thing. That's what wanted to ask a question about because yeah, I would feel limitless here.
So you want to ask this group of African American women
Mm-hmm.
what they meant by feeling limited?
Yes.
Okay. Can someone from the group respond to that question?
I can't speak to the limited part, but I can tell you that I had an African American student tell me that they felt marginalized. I don't know why that was their experience, but I did have a student say that. So that was one of the words that I did say and shared.
Are you a member of the African American group?
Yes,
Female?
I am. I
Okay.
just
Now
said this.
tell me again using I statements.
I feel marginalized was a statement that an African American
But
student.
do you feel marginalized as an African American woman? Not how the African American woman felt that you spoke with, because you are an African American in this moment. So when you said that you feel marginalized, what do you mean when you what's that feel like?
That my opinion doesn't matter, that I don't have the experience.
Okay.
This is really a little uncomfortable.
Yep.
I'm gonna pretend like it's not.
Okay. That's okay. The more time we spend being uncomfortable, the more uncomfortable becomes comfortable. So again, I just appreciate you showing up and sharing your truth in this moment because I know it can be uncomfortable. But I appreciate your courage to participate today. Let's go to the next group, number 1. What's your list?
Okay, that's me, Bev Brown from Group 1. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So we had DSU white female. Excuse me. I feel privileged and entitled. I feel qualified, equipped, helpful, and superior. I feel accepted. I feel comfortable. I feel happy to be here and accepted by my peers and coworkers.
Questions, comments, reactions to our white females, correct?
Correct.
Our white females have arrived today and shared their truth. Are there any questions, comments, or reactions to the white females who are present here today? Well, again, I want to thank. Okay, I hear someone.
Hi, um, this is Cynthia Newton, since I don't think
I can barely hear you. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, this is Cynthia Newton. Let me turn up my
Okay.
volume. Which probably just makes you louder. But I'm curious, about the people that felt, entitled and privileged. In the setting, I mean, I know it's certainly the case in real, like, big life. I'm curious about that experience here at DSU from the people in the group.
Thank you for the question. Anyone like to respond to the question? Again, we're still in our roles. And so if you can respond with I statements.
Okay, I would have to ask the person in our group to please respond to that.
Sure.
The person in my group who said, thank you. We can't hear you. We can't hear you. Donna, do you have to unmute her?
Yeah, she has to raise her hand if she's going to talk so she can unmute her. Okay.
No, we can't hear her.
I can't hear
Okay.
her or.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So as a white female on this campus, I feel that my voice is heard. I can speak up, and in meetings, I can get things done, and I'm heard over anyone else pretty much in those meetings. So that's how I feel. My voice is heard. My voice is welcomed. Sometimes I can trump someone else that is not white in a meeting, and I will get more privilege. I'm more credentialed, and therefore I feel entitled to promotions and other things that occur on campus.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate
Welcome.
it. Okay, we're going to move because of time to group number 2. Whichever 2 group wants to go first. Group number 2.
Yes, as an African American male, I feel relevant, included, comfortable, empowered, supported, at home, in a safe space. I'm happy. Sometimes I feel misunderstood. If I'm having a bad day, people may think that I am aggressive at times. I sometimes feel unforgotten, as there are not many programs as there are for females on campus. And we don't have the same support, peer support, from, as a mentor relationship.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, comments, reactions? Okay, group number, yes, I see a hand up.
Yes, I just wanted to make a comment. I think all of that.
Can you turn your volume up a bit?
It's up
please?
to 100. I'm so sorry. Can you hear me now?
Well, I'll just turn mine up so I can hear you. I can hear you, but it's just a little low. How about now?
Okay. I'm speaking loud.
I can hear you.
Okay. I heard all those positive things said about the Black African American male. And I just wanted to comment that I think that has to do with the presence of males, African, especially in particular now, African American male, as the president of this university. It gives the males someone to identify with here at the university, because it just compels me that, and we haven't heard the African American woman, but speaking for myself, I think the males feel more camaraderie. Let's go, we got this, let's do this, as opposed to the females. Because
I'm sorry. Are you asking the African American males this question?
No, I think I'm just making a comment. I don't have a question,
Okay.
just a comment.
Okay. So the comment into a question would be, do you believe that how you feel has a lot to do with having an African American president? if I was to create that as a question.
Yes, for the
Okay.
male, yes.
Yeah. And African American males, if you want to respond to that, whoever's in that group, feel free to.
I will respond by saying that I think that is one positive, factor that we have here at Delaware State University. But I also feel more comfortable because I'm around more people that look like me and that accept me and help me to feel more comfortable in my environment.
Okay. The second group. There was 2 groups, right? Did I get both of them? I don't think so.
Black.
We had actually, I think there was a mix-up too, because on my list, group 2 was white female and not. We still miss African male. So we did white female. The second group 2, we did white female. And as a white female, I feel honored. I feel privileged. I feel in the minority. 2 of us said I feel included and I feel knowledgeable.
Okay. You said you were representing 2 groups?
Group 2, the second group 2, we did white female because there was a miscalculation. African male for group 1, the second group 1 wasn't posted.
Okay.
So no one did African male.
Okay. Here's what we're going to do because of time. I'm going to have every group go through their list. I'm not going to pause for questions because I need to get to a place because I can sense something that I need to respond to. And so let's, for the sake of time, have everyone share their list. Once that's done, and then we're going to move to the next step of this exercise. Okay. And so thank you very much. And so let's go now with group 3. And just read your list. That's all I need you to do for now. And again, listen very attentively to the list. It's going to ask you some questions. Group 3, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Our was Asian American female. I feel afraid, alone, outnumbered, conflicted, unheard, uncertain, proud, pressured, misunderstood, no sense of belonging, capable, valid, empowered, bullied, invisible, neglected, accused, matter, confused, intelligent, purposeful, and concerned.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
The other third group, group number 3.
I believe our group was Latina female. I am comfortable. I feel camaraderie in my smaller community. I'm grateful and privileged, yet pressured to do great. I'm honored and filled with gratitude to be in college. I feel sexualized. I am underrepresented. Feel set back language-wise, not being fluent in English. I feel supported by the staff members as well as connected with my community. I feel supported as a woman of color.
Okay, thank you. Group number 4. Raise your hand, group number 4, so we're going to mute you.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so I feel supported. I
Who
feel
are you? Who are you?
Oh, sorry. A Latino male,
Okay.
and I feel supported. I feel accepted. I feel like I can achieve my goals. I feel at home. I feel anxiety as I might be the first person in higher ed in my family. I feel important, needed, welcomed, apprehensive, and I feel as though the structures the Dreams Initiative provides me with the opportunity that I might otherwise not have.
Thank you. The other number 4. Raise your hand so we can unmute you. If there's not a number 4, we'll go to 5.
I think the LGBTQ group,
Someone has their hand up.
Ms. Brown.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, LGBTQ plus. I feel accepted. I feel supported. I feel seen. I feel heard. I feel free to be myself. I feel apprehensive about showing who I am. And I can be who I am.
Thank you. Next 5, group 5. Or anyone for that matter, whoever's ready to go, if you could share your identity and share your response. Yes, please. I see a hand up. You're muted.
Dr. Archambault.
Let's unmute her. Lost her.
Can you all hear?
Yes.
Kestana and I were doing it at the same time.
Thank you. Sorry. Yeah, I had more folks trying to unmute me, so I appreciate all of you. So we had group number 4, which was Asian American males. I forget what the new number assigned to that was. It was in the second half of the session.
That's okay.
So we had 26 things. So I'm just going to read a few that were prominent.
Yes.
So as an Asian American male, I feel lost, missing culture, lonely, awkward, pressured, homesick, embraced, adventurous, open to learn, and free.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone? Someone next who hasn't gone yet?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so it's me again, but this time we're from the mental illness, and I feel misunderstood, included, but yet secluded, assisted, isolated, different, and anxious.
Okay. Thank you. Someone else, please.
As a person with disabilities, I find that it's hard to navigate the size of the campus. There are some, I feel like it's the accessibility issues on campus are challenging in the downtown campus, but it's very promising on the main campus. I feel like my needs are being met because we're encouraged by Dr. Netler and all of her work and her team and all that she's doing to support us during this challenging time. But we are having a hard time with the downtown campus.
Okay. Thank you. Someone else, please. Group that has not gone yet.
We haven't heard from the Jewish community.
That was us. Trying to get to, I feel, trying to jot this down. I feel invincible. I feel like I'm underrepresented. No, sorry, that was my first group. Missing that. We have put that in the chat. All right, so it was mostly around, I feel invincible. I feel that there's not a lot of opportunities for me to share my heritage. I feel that there are not a lot of opportunities for me to network with people of Jewish heritage. I feel a lack in food options to celebrate my religious holidays, and I feel culturally invincible as the other.
Okay, thank you. Who else has not gone that needs to go? Okay, hand up. Hand down.
Dr.
Hi, we were group 8 person with varying differences. And we said, I feel supported because there are tools in place. Sometimes I feel isolated and alone. I feel that Dr. Netler has done a good job re-envisioning how we support. I feel seen. I feel misunderstood when I don't have access.
Okay, were you finished? Because I stopped hearing you. The last couple, I didn't hear you. You were muted. Can we unmute her?
The last two where I feel seen, I feel misunderstood when I don't have access.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, any others that has not gone yet? Okay. Let's have a conversation. You're out of your assigned identities and you are who you are in real time. So let me pose some questions. Out of what was shared, how were you impacted by what was shared? What resonated with you? What was a level of awareness? What are your concerns? Just talk to me about this experience, having had people share what I've asked them to share in their new identity. Comments, reactions.
Hi, this is Patrice Gilliam Johnson. So I just kind of wanted to echo or to call attention to the sense that, in putting out the feelings of the group, the discomfort sometimes that presented. I thought about it as they were presenting out, especially when we had to respond to questions, particularly I think around the Black female group. I recognize how difficult that is, right? If I had been in that position, it would have been a very difficult position for me to be in. So I'm really clear that doing this work really requires some bravery. It also requires, and I think what's excellent is being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes and then having to explain that position, which I think says a whole lot. The discomfort that comes with having to be someone else and yet having to explain whether you agree with it or not, having to explain why and how that person feels. And I think sometimes it's because we really don't know how accurate it is, but we also feel very uncomfortable with those feelings. So I'm just very aware of what this particular activity has meant. I don't have my video on, and I'm sorry. I like to talk with people seeing me. So I'm just very aware of the discomfort that these kinds of conversations create.
Absolutely. And it's uncomfortable in a few ways, right? It's uncomfortable sometimes to share what your experience is for real. And then it's uncomfortable to try to identify or determine what life must be like,
Right.
not having walked in those shoes.
Right.
And
But
so,
having to explain yourself in your lack of knowledge, right? Or just
right, how do I provide clarity or understanding in a space I don't have very much understanding or awareness of? Absolutely. Very good points. And that, well, we're going to come back to some of that. That's a piece that's very important. Other comments, reactions. You were asked to be someone you're not. Obviously, there was segments of uncomfortability. And Pamela, please monitor for me the chat if there's statements and comments being made to my questions. So we heard two things, right? Usually we heard things that were of, if I may, positive, and we heard some things that were unsettling for someone to have to endure what they've endured. I would make the assumption that within groups there may have been people who truly identify with that particular demographic and some who are not. And so I'd like to give space to those of you who identify as one of those categories that I listed today and share with me how accurate or inaccurate it might be in regard to your own individual experience. Does that make sense? I'd like to open space for that.
Yeah, Mr. Worthy, I would love to respond to that question. I too can definitely understand where Dr. Johnson is coming from with these feelings of kind of like discomfort, expressing views or opinions of certain demographics with whom you don't self-identify. For me personally, I can identify with 3 of your groups that you had on your list. 1, mental health, 2, LGBTQ+, and then 3, someone with a disability. So I had a lot of overlap with some of the categories that you listed, and that was actually one thing that made me feel more comfortable about the exercise. However, I do think there are definitely some feelings that were similar. For example, when the LGBTQ group was talking about feelings of comfort, feelings of being able to be comfortable with who you are and with yourself, I definitely think that one worry that I have as an LGBTQ plus person in the workplace is that when I go into a new work environment, which I did here at DSU on July 1 with the Wesley acquisition, is can I be open or honest about who I am, who I love, and without being judged prematurely for that? And can I have those feelings be separate from the work that I do as a professional in a workspace? I did choose to be quite honest. I'm always quite honest about who I am coming forward. So my supervisor is on this call, Ms. Segby. So when she's like, hey, tell me a little bit about yourself, I was very open and honest with her about that, which to me was a risk because she had a Bible quote, a Bible verse on her wall. And although from a spiritual perspective, that made me feel comfortable, as an LGBTQ plus person, that made me feel uncomfortable. Because there's sometimes negative associations between religious groups and folks in my community. However, I chose to be honest because I think that's always the best policy if you feel safe to do so. However, one thing that did make me feel more comfortable on campus as an LGBTQ plus person is getting involved with our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Council under Ms. Gresham's leadership. That's one place where I can definitely be open and honest about my feelings. It's also a place where I can advocate for resources and supports for our students. For example, Dr. Reed put it in the chat. I wonder how students are truly feeling, and can we get the sentiments or feelings of that group, which is our students. I think that the work that DE&I is doing to include students is going to be a helpful thing to make the students feel comfortable included in being honest and comfortable with who they are, regardless of how they identify. I also think it's important to note that when I was 19 and in college, I wasn't so open and honest about how I choose to identify. But now as an adult, I feel more empowered to do so. So I think overall, I agree with some of the thoughts and sentiments and feelings coming out of that exercise. There's others that I can say I disagree with.
Is it Danielle?
Yes.
Yeah, Danielle, thank you so much. I really do appreciate you sharing openly your experience, how you travel this campus, and how you've identified ways to find comfort and support in this environment. And I think it's important when we can find individuals who are willing to share out loud their truth so that we have more of an awareness and understanding for what life is like for those shoes we haven't walked in. So thank you for that. Anyone else? And again, I'm asking those of you who identify with any of the identities I've identified today, that's how you identify yourself, that if you like to share your truth, what does it feel like to be? And so we're not guessing anymore. You're sharing from your perspective as someone who truly identifies as such. Anyone else?
I wanted to share, obviously I'm a Black woman, but I can identify with two of the other groups by way of my children. My son, who is a DSU junior, is a member of the LGBTQ plus community, and in conversations with him as a young, 21-year-old, does not feel safe, does not always feel like he's treated fairly and respected, is fearful of some peer groups. He often has conversations with his dad and I. I'm a lay leader at my church. And so it's a challenge for him sometimes having conversations with us, because as young people, I think, and Danielle mentioned the quote on the wall when she went to her supervisor's office, our son always assumes that, we're going to put up a wall because of our spiritual beliefs and not love him. And it's taken some time for him to get to the point of understanding, like, we love you regardless. It's not our job to judge you. It's our job to love you. And, I have to be in both worlds as a Christian and as a mother. My son has experienced being abused in the classroom since I've been at Dell State. I have witnessed young men and women that are part of this community be hurt. My first experience on campus in 2007 was a fight with two gay males on campus, and they were attacked by members of an athletic team at a party. And so I think we need to do a better job supporting our students, and we need to really provide them with a voice and a space. I have asked my son, and I know Ms. Pam and I have talked about this, I've asked Madison to be a part of our Diversity and Inclusion Council, and I don't want to nag him and bug him, but I really think, he can really help us better understand how kids are thinking and feeling. So I'm hoping that, his senior year, he'll join us on the DE&I Council. I also have a 12-year-old who has a disability and who has a really crazy medical condition. And we have witnessed just the inequity in healthcare and the inequity in services that people with disabilities and, and learning differences have in our community. And when we first started this exercise and the first group was reporting, I was already teary-eyed, because it's painful to me to know that we have colleagues and peers who come to work every day in pain. I have to tell you that in my 15, almost 16 years at Dell State, I have never felt like that. I have been blessed to always have mentors and to have peers and to have colleagues that I genuinely call my friends, that I break bread with after work, because I've always felt supported. And it is heartbreaking to me knowing that we have so many broken faculty and staff and students on this campus. And we sometimes we camouflage it in great news reporting and wonderful highlights and great things that we're doing, which is awesome because we're a powerful university, but we really have to take the time to heal. And we have to, I wish there were 100 people on this call. There are so many great things that I know is going to come out of this professional development. I'm grateful for people's honesty. I'm grateful for people who really want to share and who are selfless because they know that their words are going to help their peers and they're going to help our students. So that is all. That's my experience.
Let me say this to you. It is not often that we find spaces to share our truth. And we've created an opportunity in this training for people to share their truth. What's equally important is that we lean in and that we be present in what people are saying. I have leaned into you. I have leaned into Danielle, and I'm listening. And my hope is that we listen with the intention to not only develop a level of awareness, but how do we become active participants in one's rescue? How do we become soldiers who are courageous enough to have difficult questions, ask difficult questions, and demand honest responses? And equally importantly, how do we find ways, right? For right now, my hope is that I wouldn't be the only person saying what I'm saying to you and Danielle, that there are people, and I saw love signs going on in the chat, that there are people who are responding to your truth. And my heart aches knowing that your I think you said your son, in terms of what he's had to endure on the campus, you really hit the hammer on the nail, because there's a purpose to this exercise that I'm thinking that you're all starting to get. And it's important to identify what it is that we're not aware of. And that when we are part of circles where we feel valued and included and respected, that we have to pay attention to what's on the periphery. And that there are people who are struggling every day trying to cope and manage, and who is exhausted trying to pretend who they're not in order to feel a sense of belonging. I'm not just saying that this is an issue for DSU. It's an issue for everywhere, every place, everywhere. And that we have to become leaders who are of great empathy. We must lead with great empathy. And so I just want you to know that I'm always disappointed when people are experiencing what they're experiencing. But I have to continue to believe in the hope that there are people in this space right now who care enough selflessly to lend an ear, to lend support, to demonstrate an unconditional love for one another. And that's what's required of us, because there's people counting on us that we haven't even met yet, who are right on your campus: faculty, staff, students, support staff, visitors, vendors, the list goes on. So I want to say thank you for being courageous enough to trust me with your truth. And I don't devalue that. I appreciate it and I respect it. I want you to know that. So thank you very much. Someone else, comments, reactions, and what your real experiences are as who you are and how you identify here at the university.
Dr. Sudler?
I'll go ahead quickly and share. As an African American woman and with a long career at the university, I share Fran's remarks that my experience has been nothing but good. And I was delighted to hear of the positive aspects of what the African American female group reported. But I'm struggling to understand how any Black woman could be struggling in an environment created to nurture them. So I was very disappointed to hear that. And I wondered if those feelings perhaps
were already, that person may have had those feelings, or I would pray that those feelings weren't manifested in this environment, because this environment was created to nurture, and that's our gift. That's our value to individuals that we bring into the university community, whether they're African American or not. We know what that pain, that exclusion feels like. So we build people up, and I would hope that we're not doing otherwise. So Ahura, I'm going to yield to you, because I wanted to make sure you got your voice out there as well.
And Kimberly, remind me to come back to you. There's a few things that I want to touch based on what you said. Who was the person you're referring to?
Ahura Smith.
Yes, please.
Grand Rising, everyone. My name is Ahura Smith, and I'm one of several athletic academic advisors here at Delaware State University. And I just want to say to Dr. Archibald and Dr. Edwards, thank you for your transparency and your truth. This is something that we don't see often because of various different reasons. I know for me, I was able to identify with several of the groups that was mentioned. One in particular was mental health. As we are all sitting on this call, and even when we go back to work and even go home, we are all still dealing with things that this pandemic has revealed to us. I can't speak for anyone in particular, but I know for me, when this pandemic set in, everything that was suppressed was no longer suppressed. It just came out of the open. And what I am seeing now is that the conversation about mental health is very loud and very vibrant, and it is something that we have to consider dealing with on a regular basis. We would not know, we don't necessarily know what's going on behind closed doors with us as colleagues and with these students. And for somebody who identifies herself as an empath, I feel a lot of the energy. I feel a lot of the emotions that is resonating with a lot of people. And what I just want to convey to you all is, regardless of what you are going through, and this is even me talking to myself, the first way to start healing is within ourselves. You know, I think part of the reason why we are battling with so much of that's out of our control is there's three different factors. There's resistance, there's judgment, and there's protest. And you know, for it could stem from various reasons. A lot of us on this call here are coming from not only different cultures, we're also coming from different generations. Baby boomers are not that of Gen X's, and I'm certainly not a Gen Z or millennial. So I think we have to also keep that in perspective, that what resonated with that of my parents' age does not necessarily connect with those of Gen Zs or millennials. You know, when we are discussing what is impacting us, we were able, for a lot of us, we were able to do it face to face, as opposed to the generation we're serving is much more on a computer or on social media. And so I say all this because of the fact is that when we are able to identify the triggers that impact us in a manner that may not be something of growth and support, when we're able to identify what those triggers are and find the resources and the support and the help needed to deal with that, then we will be able to extend that olive branch in an authentic way to those who may not be of different, you know, who are coming from us from different backgrounds. So I just want to bring you all some words of encouragement that yes, there's a lot of things that may not be going right, or things that we did not know was happening until this conversation started. But the conversations have been going on. Now is to put action to those conversations. So I just want to say to all of you, you know, have a blessed day. Again, Dr. Archibald, Dr. Edwards, and anyone else who's going through something, this is just a test, honestly, and it's truly just set up for a testimony, which is what you all were able to share with each and every one of us. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me make some connections with what a segment like this can encourage. And to, I think her name was Kimberly, and I apologize if I have the wrong name, who, and I'm paraphrasing, was both shocked and disappointed that there would be people who would be experiencing what they're experiencing in an environment that one would hope will be an environment that provides the enrichment, the support, so that people would not experience those things. And I believe that. I believe that that's always our intention. My challenge and charge to all of us is this. Let's not assume that everything's okay because people are walking the halls and smiling. That may just be a coping mechanism. And so when we don't create space, like I just did, for people to really begin to dive into the conversation and give people space to share their truth, we're only assuming. Well, not only assuming, but sometimes we can find ourselves in spaces where everything appears to be exactly the way that we want it. And so what becomes courageous, particularly for leaders, however you lead, is to create space to be assured that what you believe exists within these walls exist. Bringing young students together who are trying to identify themselves in the space in which they belong, to have space to be open and free and dialogue about their challenges, to talk about what's been good and what needs to be improved. We have to create spaces for that. Because we don't create spaces, we only respond when things occur. But how do we become proactive in giving people voices to share their experiences, so that not only are we good at what we do, we become great at what we do. And we have to create space to evaluate and to assess, is the university the place we want it to be? How many of you remember when I had you identify what an ideal inclusive community should look like, feel like, and sound like? You remember that exercise? And we talked about that you cannot create what you don't have a vision for. You cannot dream without a plan, because a dream without a plan is a nightmare. And so how do we create space to evaluate and assess the day-to-day experiences of our students, of our faculty, of our staff, our student athletes, or whatever the difference or the variety may be? That we must create space so that we have not that we just have an educated guess about one's experience, but we get to hear from the mouths of those. And be encouraged, Kimberly, as Kimberly said, that there are people who are having an incredible experience at Delaware State. Let's not lose sight of that. Who feel supported, who have plugged in. And there are some who don't know how to navigate the environment, who don't have a cultural translator, don't know the unwritten rules of the culture. And there's some people who are making an easy transition because there's great overlap in terms of the community in which they're accustomed to and the community in which they find themselves. But even embedded in a particular demographic, there's variety and challenges that exist within that demographic itself. And so these are good conversations to have, no matter how difficult they are to have, no matter how disappointing. And some of the conversation will create an excitement for what we've done well, and people can share their positive experiences. All that's a part of an ideal community. But what's most important is how we respond to those who find themselves in need of support and encouragement, who are looking to find their way and find their space. And where do I go to a safe place? Where are the advocates and allies? And have they identified themselves? Or do I have to assume that they are? But how do we make ourselves visible, that we are here for you, to support you, to encourage you, and to grow you? Let us not hide behind the door, but to be out front, communicating out loud that you belong here. You bring value to our university and our community. And we may agree to disagree, but we'll do it with great civility, but never with judgment and never with disrespect. That's the reason the institution of higher learning exists. So we might share ideas and thoughts and experiences. And the hope is that we walk away different than we came, and that we identify the things that we have to unlearn so that we can relearn. We must have conversations with one another. We must stop asking people how they're doing and keep walking. And we do it so often. Good morning, how are you? How are you is a question. It's not a statement. And so when we ask the question, how are you? Make sure that you have planned time aside to listen to the response. We must learn, we must lead with great empathy in this space. As someone so eloquently said a moment ago, we all have been impacted by the crisis of the world in which we live in. From COVID to racial unrest, to the consistent sexism that exists, to the homophobia, and the list goes on, right? Generational is huge. Mental health is huge. And so let's assume there's at least one person who's challenged in every area, and let that be as important as a group of people being impacted in that way. So let's ask the difficult questions, demand honest responses. Let's ask ourselves about our own self-awareness and understanding about people and systems and policies that allow us to grow in this environment. You need to sometimes trade places in order to have an understanding. So let me talk with you a little bit. I'm going to ask Pamela to share some of the chat information that's being shared. Trading places, I created this exercise, and trust me, it's far more powerful in person than it is virtual. And my hope is that sometime soon I'll get to be in a room with all of you, particularly as we look at the trainings that are coming, that being live would be an incredible opportunity, but we have to do what we have to do based on what's available. So trading places, when I worked at the University of Delaware, I was confronted by my all-white staff who said to me, what you're doing is unfair. I said, what do you mean? You're providing special programs for special populations. I said, what do you mean? Well, you provide an orientation for students of color. Why don't they just participate in orientation the rest of us participate in? I said, because they're 3% of the population and there's not a lot of intersection. So they're trying to find ways to navigate an environment that is so uncomfortable, intimidating in the very early stages of college experience. They said, well, they need to figure it out like the rest of us figured out. It doesn't mean they get an extra. And so one of my students from a graduate of Howard, who was a graduate student, said, why don't we just take those students to the University of Delaware, take our staff there, to Howard University to be a student for a day, so they can experience what it's like to be underrepresented in an environment that's predominantly one versus another. So we did. We took our white staff to Howard University. And for those who are not familiar with Howard, which I believe most of you are, is a historically Black college and university in the heart of Washington, D.C. So before we got on the bus, I did pre-interviews or videos with the students. I asked this question, how are you feeling about this venture? And every single student that I videotaped said, I'm not feeling anything. It's no big deal. You just figure it out. I also did post interviews. They were very different than the pre-interviews. And so when they got to Howard University, they got off the bus, I gave them class schedules. I said, here's your class schedule. I'll see you at lunch. So how do we find our classes? I said, you told me you just figure it out. Well, how do we find the cafeteria? You told me you just figure it out. You don't need an orientation. And so after they got done, all the different events that they were involved in, classrooms, lunch, cafeteria, they couldn't sit with anyone from the University of Delaware. They had to sit with a table full of strangers. They met with leaders on campus and had dialogues and interactions. They got to a social event that night, etc. Let me share a couple testimonies from the students, our white leaders. It was student leaders and faculty and staff who went with us as well. One student said to me, Mr. Worthy, I found something out today. I said, what is that? He said, I'm white. I said, John, you was white when you left. What do you mean? He goes, no, I never had to look inwardly at my whiteness. I said, why did you feel the need to look inwardly at your whiteness at Howard University? Because everything around me was predominant. I was clearly different. And I felt like everyone knew it. And so I focused on my difference. He said it didn't help that I walked up the steps and saw a security mirror. When I looked at the security mirror, I could see behind me a sea of people of color. And here I stood as a white male. For the first time in my life, I thought about being white, was his testimony. Another student said to me, a white female, that I got through the lunch line, finally, great anxiety. And then I had to find somewhere to sit, and I found the courage to sit at a table with people who were not from the University of Delaware and were all people of color. And then I realized I didn't have silverware and I was devastated. I said, why were you devastated? I had to get up again and walk. I said, why was that difficult? Because everyone was watching me. And I played back a segment. We actually have filmed that segment. I said, how many people are paying attention to you? She says, not many people at all, but it doesn't matter. It's how I felt. I felt like I was on stage. I felt like I was the core of everyone's attention. And although when she watched the tape, that wasn't the case, she said, Mr. Worthy, it doesn't matter if that was the case. It's how I felt. I felt that I was on stage. Had another student went to a social event, looked across the room and saw someone who appeared to be white and ran across the room. I said, why? I just wanted to find some way to identify with someone who had similar characteristics, only to arrive to find out that the person was not white. They were African-American and fair skinned. I said, and so when we got back to the University of Delaware with no expectations from us, these students got together and created a program called Trading Places Experience, where they went to every classroom, every residence hall, and shared with students and anyone else who would have them come. Why was it not only important, but significantly important to create special programming for underrepresented populations on a college campus for the very reason that they experience. Now, what's my point? Those students never got it until they were experiencing it for themselves, that they understood the value of a program that will allow students who are underrepresented to transition into an environment that is so very different than a community of practice they're accustomed to. And so I decided I needed to have this conversation because I can't take everyone to Howard University, right? But I can create somewhat of a segment of that experience through what I just did today. And so I'm going to ask now, Pamela, if you'd be so kind, could you share some of the comments that were left in the chat that was responding to some of this dialogue, if you would, please?
Sure. It is upsetting knowing that our students do not feel safe at DSU. The world can already be so unkind to people. It would be great to create a safe space in this DSU bubble.
Any others?
Yes, just everyone was so appreciative and thankful to for Dr. Archibald and Dr. Edwards for all that they've shared and their transparency. So many comments on that. There's a question, can you please share some self-assessment tool that will help us to gauge our D&I aptitude and where there is room for growth?
I would refer you to, I will let Dr. Hawkins respond to that because I know some things have happened in the past in collecting that kind of information. I don't know what's been done recently or what's planned to be done. And so there's all kinds of tools out there for sure, but I would recommend that I pass that question on to those who have already been involved in that process, so that we're not reinventing the wheel or finding ways to use what we've already retrieved. I think a lot of it has to do with the reason we're doing this training right now. It's based on some of the assessment.
Right. I think from a DE&I perspective, we have put out surveys. You know, we did a culture survey, we did a climate survey just to see, to get a gauge how we are doing here on campus. And one of the areas that was very prevalent in our survey is that we need to help people from the LGBT community feel more included and engaged on campus. And so that was one of the areas that we need to focus on. But I think what Bina Daniel is referring to, just some tools that we can use to get to the point where we can examine where we are internally as individuals, where we are with our DE, you know, our own perspective. Not just from the perspective of how the campus is doing, but how can we gauge how we, you know, how can we grow ourselves and being more empathetic to needs. And so
we will be addressing those kinds of issues in this training for sure.
Okay.
And so if I may say, so at the end of the day, most people want to do the right thing, right? They just need to know how. And so there's some skills and competencies that are important, right? And there needs to be some self-evaluation, right? Some self-awareness about where we are in this space and how do we grow in this space? What does it mean to be an ally, an accomplice, as we participate in the work that needs to be done? And so we'll be taking a deeper dive in some of those things as we look ahead to some of the trainings. And I have a couple surveys, if you will, mini surveys that I'm going to be asking you questions. And based on your response to those questions, we'll give you some idea about where you are on that scale. And so I think that might be very helpful in terms of what she's asking for.
Well, it's 11 o'clock already, and I know a number of people have to jump off.
Well, let me close out. It's important that we spend time. Let me just kind of highlight what I've heard. And I don't want to lose sight of this. Is Kimberly still on? Because I'd like to see Kimberly. Because I think Kimberly's point is an important point that we need to. Did Kimberly leave?
No, she's still here, Kimberly Sedler.
Kimberly, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Are you on the screen? I'd like to hear, and there you are.
I see me in the upper left.
Okay, gotcha. I think it's so powerful that we ask those questions that gives us clarity about what we see through our own lenses. And sometimes, let me just speak about me. I know that in my lifetime, I needed to change my lens because it wasn't broad enough. And so when we look at DEIB, we can identify the things within our organizations that we are most proud of, yes? Because it shows itself. The difficult things, the undercurrent, you know, the roots of the matter sometimes don't show themselves. And so we have to create spaces that will allow us to walk away saying, yep, we're doing a good job there. We're doing a good job there. Oh, whoa, what's happening? Right? We have to create space for that. Why? Because the hustle and bustle of maintaining and managing in a collegiate environment is enough already, right? And so we have to create those spaces that gives us some sense to determine, are we doing the work we need to do? Are we doing it in a way where people feel empowered, visible, confident? And the answer to that is not always. I don't care which institution or corporation it is. We have to check in. And so what I'm inspired by your message is that we need to check in, right? To make sure that everything that we see of great encouragement continues to exist, and become aware of those things like we heard today, that we need to spend some time digesting and finding ways to continue the dialogue, so we might find ways that we individually and collectively can polish it, right? Build upon it. But I don't want anyone walking away today feeling like you have failed everyone. You haven't. Your institution is doing some fantastic work, and your students who I've had a chance to meet through social media and other places, you obviously have grown some incredible leaders in your organization, but there are some on the periphery who need you, who are longing to have a voice and a conversation about their truth. And so I'll leave you with this. Thank you all for participating in what can be a very difficult exercise. An exercise that I intentionally created so that you can feel what it's like to be uncomfortable. But more importantly, how to move through it and to hear the truth and to ask yourself some honest questions and demand some honest responses. And so I thank you for this. As we move forward, we're going to begin to digest why we create, why environments there exist, microaggressions, the stereotypes, the intentional and unintentional disinviting, the exclusion, what it looks like, what it feels like, what it sounds like, and then the skills and competencies for us to interrupt, to educate, to engage. Right, we're going to give you the skills and the tools to, one, be able to identify when it occurs in actions and words and deeds, and what might be the best way to respond in that moment. And how do we grow ourselves individually to be the kind of people we need to be for those that need us the most? Fair? Is that okay?
Yes.
Thank you all so very much. And there will be a time where I see you in person. I just gotta see you. I need to be there with you. I really do. So I'm going to give it back to Dr. Hawkins and Pamela at this point, and thank you all for the opportunity yet again. And thank you for your courage. And thank you for those who are listening and leaning in.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Worthy, for what you have brought to us today. I thank everybody for participating in this segment. It has definitely been a real mind-opening thought process here. And if unless you just don't have feelings at all, you're walking away with something to really think about. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for understanding what Mr. Worthy did to get you to the point where you actually felt this session as we've done all the rest. So we'll be in touch. Thanks again. Have a great day.
Our next session is scheduled for April 13th, so please put a hold on your calendars and look out for information regarding our next session. Thank you so much, everyone.